Welcome to My Vertical Obsession. I'm your host, Megan, and today we are talking about Bad Boys Tutor on DramaPops. This stars Tess Dinerstein, also credited on this as Tess Amelia as Amelia, Ben Armstrong as Liam, JC Ann as Candace, Danny Barber as Principal Richard, Jordan Dick as Jason. Hope I said that correctly. Do my best to make sure name pronunciations are correct. I do fail sometimes. So the synopsis for this one, which I actually had two different ones, but they're very similar, is their deal was simple. She'd tutor him to pass, he'd fake date her to make her crush jealous, but between the late night study session and the jealous exes pretending stops feeling fake. And the other one that I had was she tutors the campus bad boy in exchange for him fake dating her to make someone jealous. As they navigate study sessions and jealous exes, their pretend romance begins feeling real. So we'll jump right into kind of the overview of the series. Here it goes. Liam is in need of tutoring to help get his grades up and not get kicked off the football team. When Rhonda, I wrote the nerd, but I know she kind of self-claims herself as a nerd, and I say it every once in a while. So that's the only reason why I kind of wrote it down. But when Rhonda won't help him, he turns to new girl Amelia. He makes a deal with her in which she tutors him, he'll fake date her, which in turn will make her crush Jason more interested in her. Well, she doesn't agree to it at first. She eventually agrees. This makes his ex Candace jealous, so she ends up targeting Amelia, singling her out for the year's school-wide bullying. Liam tells Amelia he will make sure she isn't targeted. The more Liam and Amelia are together, the more it pisses off Candace. So she ends up telling Liam she is pregnant with his child. Liam ends up walking away from Amelia to be there for Candace and the baby, but it leaves Amelia vulnerable to the bully. When Liam sees Amelia after she's attacked and had her head dunked in a toilet, she slaps Liam. He ends up spiraling and getting into trouble with the cops and school, and when he's talking to the principal, Amelia happens to overhear, ends up sticking up for Liam, but still not fully forgiving him yet. She ends up going to Jason and asking him out. Liam gets jealous and the two get into a fight. The night of the date, Jason tries to push Amelia too far, but Liam jumps in and saves her. The two end up leaving together and almost spending the night together. Liam knows it wouldn't be right and leaves, but promises it will happen. The next day, Liam tells Candace he can't be with her, but he will be there for the baby, and that he is in love with Amelia. Candace, not happy, talks to her friends to try and figure out a way to bring Amelia down and get her out of the school. Not realizing that Amelia was in the bathroom, overheard and found that Candace wasn't pregnant. Amelia runs and they chase her into the hall where Liam ends up protecting Amelia and finding out that Candace had been lying to him the whole time. Liam and Amelia leave the school and Candace gets caught with drugs. The next day, we end up finding out that when Liam and Amelia left the school, they had gone and had sex and finally admitted their love for each other. And in the end, we are brought to the spring fling where Candace, with the help of Jason, tries to bring down Liam, but is caught by Amelia, then caught by the principal. And this ends up leaving Liam and Amelia to finally be together. So that's just a little overview and recap of the series. So now jumping in to some of the talking points I had a couple. One of the biggest ones was about Liam and his drinking. And I really kind of got into that one because I really wanted to talk about that. So about Liam and his drinking, I had said that Liam had an alcohol problem. You could see him drinking in class, when he was alone at home, at a party, at a bar, and just in school in general. And it is mentioned by Amelia because she is worried and she cares about him. And I had made mention that I wasn't sure if it was something that he's always done or if it was something newer. And I kind of figured it was more on the newer side of him with his drinking. I didn't think it was something he had done prior to all that was going on in his life. Felt like kind of what was going on in his life is what kind of triggered this. And that's what I based this on. And that's how I said it, was that if it is something new, that would make sense, as he had a lot of stress going on in his life and he felt it was the only way to cope. His mom is in the hospital, his dad left, and the principal is putting way too much pressure on him, telling him not once but twice how the town was relying on him. Like in the beginning when he first told him he needs to get his grades up, the principal told him that the entire town was relying on him to win. And then the second time was when he got in trouble with the cops in the school for drinking on school property. The principal had said how the town was counting on him to win, putting way too much pressure on this young kid, making him believe that he was the only hope for this town to win this game. It's like that's a lot of pressure for one kid. I had said that yeah, it's a lot of pressure to put on one person, not to mention he's putting pressure on himself to graduate and go to college for his mom. And while he can't help her, he can at least do the one thing she'd want to see, and that is for him to do well in school, graduate, and go to college. And he makes mentions of that his mom wanted to see him go to college, so that was the one thing that he was determined to do. Then when things are going good with Amelia, his ex Candace has to go and tell him she's pregnant. Now that adds a whole new level of stress and pressure on him. Now he wants to make sure he's there to support his child, but also has to figure out how this will all work with school, college, being a father. And he's probably worrying that everything he's been working towards might come crashing down. He would do anything to make sure that he's not going to turn out like his dad. He doesn't want to abandon his child. That leaves him with coping with this all himself, and he turns to drinking. The one thing in his life he can control, as I had mentioned, did end up getting him in some trouble with the cops in the school. And with his life so out of control, he needed the one thing he could control. It wasn't good for him, and Amelia noticed. She tried to reach out to him. She tried to do it in a way that wouldn't cause him to feel like he was being cornered, because sometimes that is something that people feel if you're coming at someone with something you feel is an issue and you're coming at them too strong. They could feel like they're cornered and be defensive and fight back or just kind of get mad at you. So she was doing it in a way that would to try and help and not make things worse, because she does care about him. But of course, when Candace saw this moment of Amelia and Liam, she had to go and mess it up. So Liam ends up pushing Amelia away. And one of the other things I had said is that I think seeing Amelia being bullied and mad and upset, he wasn't around to help like he promised, made him spiral into a dark place, or maybe more of a rock bottom. But then Amelia standing up for him to the principal showed him people do care. No one has ever really done that for him. He was fighting with this all on his own. And then to see her ignore him and kiss Jason triggered something in him. And then finding out Candace was lying to him about the baby, it really kind of opened his eyes. It gave him a clarity of what he was doing and how it was affecting those around him that he cared about. And this leads him to stop drinking, which at the spring fling, Amelia mentions how he is drinking water instead of vodka. You can see that he is trying to do better and that he is quitting. And he mentions that he has quit drinking. And at the spring fling, when he reads his poem to everyone, it's about Amelia and how much he loves her. She was the one person who saw him more than just the star athlete or the bad boy everyone saw. She saw his kindness, his strength, his determination, his desire to do well by his mom, the struggles he's faced, but didn't tell anyone. She saw who he could be. She saw him, and he wanted to be that person she saw. He wanted to do and be better. And then I ended it with Amelia was the light in Liam's darkness. So she was the one person who was able to kind of get through to him and show him how this was bad and that there are other ways that you can reach out to people, that people do care about you. So I kind of saw that in their relationship and why I felt like Amelia was the light in Liam's darkness. And I did mention this in my thoughts, but I did kind of think at first they were just kind of going to gloss over his drinking, but they made it a bit more of a prominent thing. So I was kind of glad that they did. And it just wasn't something in the background that wasn't so worrisome, because with all that was going on in Liam's life, it was worrisome. So I love that it was an actual plot in the series and not just throwaway something that is ignored. So I was glad about that. And then the next thing I had to talk about was the school and the bullying. So one of the whole plots of the series is Amelia being bullied by just about the entire school, even though it's kind of run by Amelia and her friend, even though it's kind of run by Candace and her friends, it's still got the whole school involved. So it's like, it was something that I was like, I need to kind of mention a little bit about this. So what I had said was, it's mentioned when Amelia asked Liam about the red card that it's something done every year. They pick someone to single out and bully. Almost made it seem like to get those they think are not as good as them. So basically bully them until they can't take it anymore and leave school. When it came to Amelia, it looked like the whole school joined in. So if the whole school is involved, this makes me wonder, does the school know this is happening? If they do, why are they not doing anything to stop it? Is it because the students flash money or threaten to take money away and it makes them look away? Because I know that's in some of the series where certain students are like, well, my dad pays for all your bills and this wing, and if I tell him to take away the money, then you can't do anything and you have to figure things out on your own. So I know that's kind of a plot, so that's why I was like, oh, well, maybe that's the scenario here, is that Candace and some of her friends are just like, oh, well, I'll tell my dad to stop donating to the school, so that way it makes them go, okay, well, we see nothing's happening. That's the kind of thought that I had in my head when I wrote that. And then I said that looking away, it just makes them complicit in the abuse of a student. While it's not a stretch to believe a school would look away to things going on when it comes to money involved, it's just crazy to think how long this might have been going on. Was it passed down from class to class? Because again, it's mentioned that it happens every year. So it's like, how long has this actually been going on at this school? And honestly, these students are not subtle about this either. They do things big and flashy, so the staff had to know of it. I mean, after all, they attacked her with water balloons and water guns in the middle of the cafeteria. It's like, how was that not seen? They chased her down the hall until she hid in a bathroom, and it was basically like a good amount of the students, if not all of them. So I'm like, how is no teacher seeing all this happening? And I pointed out how that if it was real life, I'm sure there would be lawsuits and mass firings that would come. The staff didn't do a good job protecting the students. Because again, the way they made it seem is that they bully a new student or a student they don't like to the point where they leave. And that's what they were trying to do with Amelia, is get it so that way she'd want to leave the school. And I'm like, doesn't the school kind of question why these kids are leaving each year? And then I said how the only good thing is that the principal found the drugs after seeing what happened in the hall. So Candace, who was bullying Amelia and lied to Liam, got her punishment in the end. And yes, she did try to come back for the spring fling, but again, she was caught. And she did mention that she did get arrested, and that if she was caught on school property again, she'd get arrested. So she did get her punishment in the end. But again, it's like, how was no teacher knowing about this or saying anything about this? So it was just one of those things where I was just like, this seems crazy. To the level that they were bullying Amelia and it was going unnoticed, kind of crazy. And I get that it's just like a simple plot and we're supposed to kind of like look past it, but my brain was just like going, I feel like there should have been more notice to this. One of the other things I had made mention of was Liam's black eye kind of came and went, which was fun to watch. And this is also something that happens in TV shows and movies too. So it's kind of like a continuity issue that happens from time to time, especially if you're filming out of order. It can get forgotten about or things get mixed up, I would say, I feel like. But I know it happens. And it's also one thing my parents and I sometimes point out when we're watching the Chicago series. If one of the characters gets like hurt and then the next episode they're like totally fine and there's no evidence, it's like, wow, they healed fast. So we kind of poke fun of it at that from time to time. It's a thing that happens everywhere. But I just happened to notice this because at one point of how bad this eye looked, and then the next scene, which was supposed to be the next day, it suddenly healed and better. So it was just like, that's fun. So this is what I had said, is that it's interesting how his black eye came and went. It healed real fast. You know, he was punched by Jason in school. And then the next day it's shown with this big bruise because he had the glasses on in school and he was told to take them off. Then you see the big bruise. That same day at night when they're at the bar for the 2 dates, him with Candace, Amelia with Jason, the eye actually looks a lot worse than during the day. I slightly noticed, but he's still got the black eye. And when he saves Amelia and they go back to her place, it's still there. And then, like I said, the next day when he's with Candace and going forward until the end of the series, there's no black eye and it's completely healed. And it doesn't look like they're trying to make it seem like it was healing and lessening. It just completely healed overnight. So it was just like, nice. But again, I know sometimes that can happen. Continuity kind of gets messed up sometimes. Also, depending on timing, it can make it seem like it's better. Almost like if we're supposed to believe that it's been a little bit versus the next day, then I can see that. But this one just happens to be for this series. We know it was the next day because Candace makes mention going, were you with her last night? Where did you go with her last night? So it is supposed to be the next day. But it was just a simple little error I noticed. And it doesn't take away from the plot at all. It was just a little thing that I found funny going like, oh look, his black eye is totally better. It's gone. That healed fast. And then the last thing I had said or wanted to talk about was the scene before the spring fling, which was when Amelia reads her poem. So that whole clip of when Amelia reads the poem. And I had said that the poem Amelia wrote is read as the 2 are having sex for the first time. It's a sweet way to show the characters expressing their love 2 different ways, or as a dual expression of love. It's more than a love scene or a poem. It's a visual representation of all they mean to each other. It shows how all the battles they have faced led to this moment. The way the 2 scenes were shot and woven together really helps tell this dual expression of love. It helped make it a bigger moment than just a love scene or a sex scene, and the editing made it into a perfectly crafted scene. I loved how the 2 scenes were put together. The lens flares and the sunlight was a great edit or filming technique in the scene to add to the magic of the 2 moments. There was so much done in this clip, but it was done so beautifully. It was just such a great visual moment, the way they had edited it all together, because it was not only the scene in the classroom of her reading the poem, but also them having sex and making love for the first time together. So it was really well done, in my opinion, of how they put that all together and how they kind of had the voiceover too of Amelia reading her poem. It just, scenes like that make me so happy and so excited because I love seeing that, especially from like an editing and production standpoint, just the way it all comes together. It was just so beautifully done, and I loved every minute of it. It was just so lovely and great, and a perfect way to give them this happy ending before the final couple of episodes. Because to be honest with you, I felt like if they had ended it on that clip and didn't even have like the spring fling at all, that would have been a perfect ending too. Just a really happy note for the 2 of them. They got their happy ending and things are going great. And I think that could have been a perfect end to the series if they didn't have the spring fling clip. So it was kind of one of those moments that if they had chosen, it would have been a great way to end the series. But I just loved every minute of it. It was just one clip too, or one episode for the series. It's like, I know they are episodes, how they're broken up on each app, but sometimes my brain has a hard time talking about them as individual episodes because I still see it as just one whole series. But this particular moment was just all in one episode, and I loved that it was just all put into one episode. It wasn't spanned over a couple episodes. It's just simply one episode, and it was just timed, editing, everything was just perfect about it, and I loved it. So that was the last thing that I had in my notes or talking points about things in the series. Going on to next are just kind of my overall thoughts of the whole series. I had said for this one is that I loved getting to watch Tess and Ben work together on this. I thought they had such good chemistry and really played off each other very well. So also when DramaPops dropped another one with them, I think it's called High School Diary, I was so excited to see that one, and I hope to do an episode on that one too, hopefully in the near future. But continuing on for this one, I said I loved watching both Tess and Ben's series. I think Ben is a phenomenal actor. He really gets into his role and does a great job of making each character layered. It's also a treat to watch his series because you know you're going to get such an amazing performance. Tess brings such a captivating performance to each role she plays. She also brings such emotion to each character. It pulls you in. Pairing the two made the series that much better for me. One of the things that I loved most about the series is that it didn't shy away from hard topics like Liam's drinking or fathers abandoning their kids, because that was 2 points both for Liam and for Amelia. Liam's father left after his mother got put in the hospital, whereas Amelia, her father abandoned her, kept trying to make contact but would never show up. So the two of them both had the issue of their father abandoning them. I also love how that kind of gave them a little bit of a connection, that they both understand the feeling of being abandoned by their father. I had said with the whole Liam's drinking and the father's abandoning kids that it helped show just how much strength these two characters had. It's like the saying of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And as I had mentioned earlier, I was a little worried they were going to gloss over the drinking, and glad that it was something mentioned as a problem. It showed just how much pressure someone could be under and how they could deal with it. Also how they don't ask for help, to finally seeing it's okay to have help. You don't have to take it all on your own. It gets you rooting for Liam and Amelia, and it's just a sweet teen style romance. You can't help but love it in the end. So those are kind of my thoughts on it. I really did love this, especially as I mentioned, seeing Tess and Ben working together. They had such great chemistry. I can't wait to talk about their other one. Do hope that they get to work together again on another project in the future, and I know I will watch that so much. I definitely also recommend this one. It's really good, very well done. The cast is great. And like I said, it's just a really cute little teen style drama series. Absolutely loved it. And for the rating, I gave it a 8 out of 10 because again, loved it so much. And my 8 out of 10s are high praise. Even though it doesn't seem it, it is very high praise. But yeah, so that's kind of all I have to say about this. And as always, would love to hear your thoughts on the series, what you liked, what you didn't like. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please leave a review. Love to hear your thoughts. This has been Bad Boys Tutor on DramaPops. I am your host, Megan. This is my vertical obsession. And until next time.